Now you must cast your laziness aside, my master said, for he who rests down or under covers cannot come to fame, and he who spends his life without renown leaves such vestige of himself on earth as smoke bequeaths to air or foam to water.
Canto 23 opens up with Dante and Virgil desperately trying to escape the fifth pouch because they are being chased by demons. So Virgil grabs up Dante and they slide down into the sixth pouch. This is the pouch of the hypocrites. They describe the people there as being, quote, below that point we found painted people who moved around with lagging steps in circles, weeping with features tired and defeated.
These are people that we see are walking around extremely slowly. And of course, as Dante and the reader, you are extremely confused as to what is going on. We find out later that these people are the hypocrites. They are wearing these very misleading cloaks. On the outside, the cloaks are described as, quote, gilded and dazzled. But on the inside, we see that they are lined with lead, making them extremely heavy for the people to wear.
Again, the sixth pouch is the pouch of the hypocrites. Their punishment is to walk around in these extremely heavy cloaks that are lined with lead. In the story, we are introduced to Cantalo and Lodoringo, two people that we find out were the founding members of the Knights of the Militia of the Blessed and Glorious Virgin Mary. We later find out that they were both a part of a hypocritical ruse when they jointly assumed the position of political chief. Cantalo and Lodoringo are a great example of why the people have to wear these lead cloaks, because hypocrites are people who have done something extremely misleading. And so the cloaks are really nice and ornate, as the book describes them as gilded and dazzled. But inside they are lined with lead and extremely heavy, forcing the people to walk around slowly, tired and miserable. The book describes these cloaks as, quote, a tiring mantle for eternity, end quote. While walking, Dante sees, quote, one crucified by 3 stakes on the ground.
Cantalo tells us on page 1906, lines 115 to 120, that, quote, that one impaled there whom you see counseled the Pharisees that it was prudent to let one man and not one nation suffer. Naked he has been stretched across the path, as you can see, and he must feel the weight of any one who passes over him.
I find the idea that Caiaphas has permanently stuck to the ground one is very intriguing. This is because not only is he crucified to the ground for all of eternity, but he has to feel the weight of all those people wearing those extremely heavy cloaks as they pass over him from day to day. Dante World, A Reader's Guide to the Inferno, says, quote, Dante here endorses the repugnant view widely held by Christians in the Middle Ages, that the crucifixion of Jesus was justification for the persecution of Jews. End quote. Basically, by this he was saying, karma is a... Now for a quick summary. Malologue is the eighth circle's hell. The sixth pouch is home to the hypocrites. Their punishment is to wear cloaks lined with lead. Dante World says Dante endorses the view that the crucifixion of Jesus was justification for the persecution of Jews. Dante and Virgil have now reached the seventh pouch. This is the pouch of the thieves. Dante says when he first enters he sees a swarm of serpents. He says, and I quote, among this cruel and depressing swarm ran people who were naked and terrified, with no hope or heliotrope.
In this pouch, Dante says he sees a swarm of serpents. He says, and I quote, among this cruel and depressing swarm ran people who were naked and terrified, with no hope of hole or heliotrope.
In one scene, Dante describes a serpent that attacks one who is standing along the shore. It catches on fire, burns to the ground, and becomes ashes, and in that instant recollects itself to the soul that it once was. Now ain't that some? Again, the seventh pouch is the pouch of the thieves. In this pouch, Dante's contrapasso is that the people have to relive this never-ending cycle of pain of being bitten, turning to ashes, and then reincarnated, and doing this again and again and over for the rest of eternity. They have to relive the same pain of the people that they stole from. For example, we are introduced to a character by the name of Vani. This character admits to stealing holy things from a cathedral and then letting one of his accomplices take the blame. Not only does he have to relive the pain of the people that he stole from, but also the pain of his accomplice. One thing that I have noticed about Dante's writing is that he likes to relate his stories to the stories of others and make a lot of analogies. For example, when it came to the reincarnation of the souls, he related the rising of them rising from their ashes to the phoenix rising from the ashes. Now, unfortunately for Dante, these examples don't always work, but in some cases they do create a really good imagery for the reader. Referring to Dante's Inferno as a whole, BookTeacher.org says, and I quote, Dante uses the Inferno as a vehicle to assassinate the character, and thereby get revenge on his political enemies. The poem is written in a vernacular so common that ill-educated men might read it. The common man is far more likely to accept the poem as a gospel truth, so therefore believe what Dante says to his political enemies. They describe this as a theme of political revenge. Now for our final summary. The seventh pouch is the home of the thieves. Their punishment is to forever be